Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Brittany, and I take a real unfiltered look at the tech, tools, and products marketed to photographers and small business creatives, breaking them down with you, not just for you. I am constantly returning to the systems I've looked at in the past because I'm always discovering new things to chat about. But I also love checking out new systems, so if there's any products or applications you'd like me to check out, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Years ago, I did a client gallery face-off between Pass, Pic-Time, CloudSpot, and Pixieset. It was my first big comparison video, and during testing, I noticed something that I'll just say was interesting. The Pass and Pic-Time dashboard weren't just similar, they were nearly identical. At first, I thought maybe they used the same development company or just had similar design philosophies, but as soon as I started making a gallery, I realized it was the same system. Then in the dashboard footer, I got all the evidence I needed. Pass wasn't just inspired by Pic-Time, it was powered by them. That connection between the two is something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. Seriously, it pops into my head way more than I want to admit. I'm thinking it's because it's not something that I've seen with other client gallery providers. Most have their own distinct vibe, focus, and approach to the code, making each dashboard, uploader, and storefront feel different enough from their competitors, even though they all have the same goals. That variety is what allows photographers to find the right fit. If one platform doesn't quite work for you, there's another with a different approach that might. But with Pass and Pic-Time, the experience is the same, from gallery creation to store automations. It makes me wonder, do Pass users feel like they're getting the same experience as Pic-Time users? Or does it come with trade-offs? Before we go any deeper, I want to be upfront. This video includes some speculation and personal opinions based on my experience with these two systems. And the great thing about opinions is that we can have all kinds of different ones. If you see things differently or have had another experience, I'd love to hear your take. Let's talk about it in the comments because I genuinely enjoy these conversations and learning what others value in their client gallery providers, which is why I find this whole situation so interesting. It opens up a convo about white label software and the niche market of client gallery providers. For those that may be unfamiliar, white label software is when one company builds a product and another company pays to rebrand that product as their own. It's a common practice in industries where infrastructure is expensive to develop, allowing businesses to offer a service or good without having to build it from scratch. Plenty of companies white label software, and we're not getting into the merits of that today. It's truly not uncommon. Big brands do it all the time to save on development costs. But usually when a company does this, they either actively maintain what they're licensing or they reposition it in a way that makes sense for their brand and users. That's where, in my experience, Pass sort of feels like it's falling short. For starters, it doesn't feel like it's being maintained at the same level as the system over on Pic-Time is. While Pic-Time is actively rolling out updates, new features, and improvements, Pass feels like it's just chilling on whatever version of the system they originally licensed. It's also not significantly cheaper. If Pass were positioned as a budget alternative, this might make sense, but their pricing isn't drastically lower, and their features list hasn't seen many additions over the years to make it more appealing than just going to the source. And it exists in a pretty small niche. The client gallery space isn't flooded with endless options. Each major provider, Pic-Time, Pass, Folio, CloudSpot, Shootproof, etc., serves a specific market, and photographers should expect each one to bring something distinct to the table. So this isn't really just about white labeling, it's about what happens when a white labeled product isn't evolving at the same pace as the system it's built on. If you're licensing another company's platform, but then fall behind on updates, innovations, support quality, heck, even just making your dashboard stand out in a way that's different, what value is being added to the market? So let's break this down a little bit more. If Pass and Pic-Time are built on the same foundation, what actually separates them? Are there areas where Pass makes up for what it lacks, or does it stall out? I'm not entirely sure what the powered by Pic-Time fully entails, so this is all just observation and opinion, but there does seem to be some spots where these two systems differ in a way that could either attract or repel users. First up is pricing. Originally, Pass and Pic-Time had fairly identical pricing, but that changed in 2022 when Pic-Time raised its rates after rolling out features like video storage and a blog beta. Pic-Time's professional plan went from $17 to $21 a month. The advanced plan increased from $34 to $42 a month, and they also introduced a beginner tier starting at $7 a month. Pass, on the other hand, held on to that pricing that used to match Pic-Time's until late 2023 after they revamped their website. The standard plan increased from $17 to $20 a month. The unlimited plan went from $34 to $38 a month. Their beginner tier remained at $6 a month, and they introduced a platinum plan to help eligible photographers with their print store for $125 a month. So, while Pass is technically the cheaper option, it's important to note that some of the features that led to Pic-Time's price increase, like video support, storage, blog tools, and some integrations, never made their way into Pass. From what I can tell, Pass's pricing increase seems more like an operational adjustment. Next up is support. Pass and Pic-Time may share a system, but their customer chat support experiences are very different. One of the biggest reasons is that they use completely different platforms to handle their support. I did do a little inspection of their dashboards, and while looking through there, I noticed references to Intercom on Pic-Time, which is used for AI-driven chat and live assistance, while Pass appeared to have mentions of a HubSpot chat widget. I can't say with certainty that these are the exact services being used, but if they are, it would explain why their support experiences feel so different. And that difference became obvious when I reached out to both platforms for help. With Pass, I had an actual issue. My storage cap was maxed out even though nothing was using space, so I reached out through their dashboard and my only option was to submit an email through the chat. The system told me I'd receive a response in 24 hours and then the chat just ended. I actually submitted 2 support tickets, one in the evening and another one the next morning because I wasn't really sure if my first message had gone through. Both times the chat disconnected after confirming that I'd receive an email response. 15 minutes later, my first ticket was answered, and then an hour after that, my second was as well. The reps were kind, helpful, and resolved my issue without any problems. Many thanks to those 2 reps that helped me on my way. With Pic-Time, I had a minor question about deep storage. When I asked my question in the chat, I immediately got an AI-generated response that actually did answer my question, plus an option to join a queue for live assistance. I didn't need further help, but I briefly joined the queue to test the human support aspect. Since I had already found my answer, I did let them know that I no longer needed assistance. Still though, when a rep did connect a few minutes later, they still acknowledged my message before moving on. I appreciate all the customer representatives that I interacted with, but Pic-Time's chat system is noticeably more advanced. To be clear, both platforms provided helpful assistance and resolved my issues completely. Neither one dropped the ball, and I'm not implying that one is better than the other. What stands out to me is that their support systems are one of the clearest indicators that Pass and Pic-Time are not the same platform. In many areas of the backend, their similarities make it easy to assume that they function identically, but how they handle support is a direct reflection on the different paths that they have taken. Moving right along to what might be the biggest crime in my opinion, the branding and user experience. I can fully admit that I care way too much about little details that most people wouldn't even notice. What matters to me isn't always what matters to the masses, but I just cannot ignore that Pass updated their website branding in late 2023 and left the photographer's dashboard branding mostly untouched. I can't just let that slide because it goes against the code of ethics of a club that only I am a member of because I know that no one else cares this much. If you go to Pass's website, you'll see this clean, modern, sandy orange aesthetic. It's trendy, cohesive, and well put together. But the moment you log into the platform, it feels like you've stepped into a different space. The sidebar is charcoal gray with colorful icons that no longer match the website's new refined look. The campaigns area thumbnails do share the website's orange sandy forward palette, but the automation section doesn't. The thumbnails are again more colorful, causing a disconnect from their branding. And then there are the goofy bits. Certain elements in the backend don't seem to display as intended, like some of the automation workflows and video guides occasionally appearing broken. And I've noticed some retained stock imagery in Pass from Pic-Time that appears in the sales and shop areas. As I've already disclaimed, I'm ridiculous, so I know these might not be noticeable or a deal breaker to someone who hasn't gone through both systems. Or even if you have gone through both systems, it might not be a deal breaker. But even if they are just stock images, they are more aligned with Pic-Time's branding rather than Pass's, and reinforces the disjointed feelings I get from the system. It's quirky, but not in a fun way. It's the kind of quirkiness that makes Pass feel inconsistent, like a work in progress rather than a polished platform. So, why pick Pass? Here's where I keep getting stuck. Why would a photographer pick Pass over Pic-Time? In my opinion, if you want the most features, Pic-Time is the better choice. If you want the most supportive support, Pic-Time is the better choice. If you want the cheapest option though, now that is something Pass has going for it. But the kicker for me is if I'm paying for Pass and essentially getting a more limited version of Pic-Time, why not just give my money to Pic-Time from the start? Not only would I have access to a fully realized, cohesive system, but I nothing. Hi, Editing Brittany here. I had a thing about how Pic-Time has more consistent free storage, but actually they just hide the fact that the storage limit drops from 10 gigabytes to 3 gigabytes after 6 months behind a tooltip with poor contrast. I totally miss this, which makes me wonder how many other people would miss this when comparing plans. And hey, props to Pass for openly stating that the storage changes and not tucking it away. That's the way information of this type should be displayed. Anyway, back to the video. This raises a few bigger questions for me. 1, what is Pass's long-term strategy? 2, are they fully committed to running Pic-Time's system, or was this supposed to be a temporary solution that continued because the system is beautiful, sophisticated, and fairly easy to use? And 3, if they're not innovating beyond the version of Pic-Time that is currently powering them, how will they compete in the long run? To expand on that last point, I don't want to be overly harsh toward Pass because I get it. After more than 10 years in business, innovating in a competitive space isn't easy. And if there's one area where Pass seems to be carving out its own niche, it's in helping photographers passively earn more income through product sales. They've put a strong focus on print sales, educating photographers on how to sell more, and even offering a personalized platinum service that gives custom solutions and dedicated support for print profits. This is where I think Pass is really trying to make its mark. By zeroing in on ways to increase photographers' revenue through products rather than just being a standard gallery provider that also just happens to offer a shop. So while they may not be leading in tech innovation, they are investing in the passive income side of photography, which could make them an appealing choice for photographers who want extra support in selling prints. And according to their site, there is more coming soon in regards to amplifying print sales. So I'm pretty eager to see what's going to come next. And now for my husband's least favorite phrase. At the end of the day, being powered by Pic-Time doesn't mean Pass has to be ruled by them. Right now, Pass feels like a reskinned little brother. Reskinned little brother. A reskinned little brother? Right now, Pass feels like a reskin of Pic-Time, but it doesn't have to stay that way. They have the opportunity to take this foundation and create something truly unique. Something that isn't just a slightly budget-friendly alternative, but an innovative competitor in its own right. Pic-Time, for what it's worth, keeps evolving, rolling out new features, improving support, and staying ahead of the curve. But where is Pass in that conversation? More and more, Pass is being left out of the client gallery conversation. Almost like the industry has moved on from what was once considered a powerhouse system. Being powered by Pic-Time could have been an opportunity, a chance for Pass to take a great system and truly make it their own. But so far, that hasn't happened. In my opinion, if Pass wants to remain relevant, they have two choices: break away from Pic-Time and rebuild something unique, or fully commit to an innovation on Pic-Time's system. And I'm not just talking about following whatever updates come down the pipeline, but actually shaping their dashboard into a personalized Pass experience that users cannot get anywhere else. Right now, Pass isn't adding anything new to the client gallery space, and that's the real issue. They don't have to settle for being Pic-Time light, but it feels like they've already resigned themselves to being that. They have the potential to reinvent themselves, stand out, and provide real value beyond what Pic-Time is already doing. With new leadership at Pass, there's an opportunity for change. But will they take it? So I guess the real question isn't just why would someone pick Pass over Pic-Time, it's where does Pass go from here? What do you think? Does it matter that Pass is powered by Pic-Time? Do you think they'll find a way to innovate, or are they always going to feel like a shadow of the original? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little different from the videos I normally do, but again, I really do think about this way more than I should, and I wanted to broach the subject to others, as I find it really interesting. If there's other mysteries of the photography kind, I'm always down to investigate, so let me know in the comments if there's anything I should look into in that realm. Other than that, feel free to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that little bell to be alerted whenever I release a new video. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.